There was once a prince called Stefan, who, unknown to his father, had just become engaged to a fantastically beautiful princess called Finella, whom he loved very much. But then, one day, just as they were in the middle of a really fantastic kiss, Stefan received a message that his father was dying, and he had to hurry home. Stefan turned to his beloved Finella and said, "I must go now and leave you, but I am giving you this ring to remember me by. Don't worry, when I am king, I will return and marry you." So, Prince Stefan went home, and his father said,
"Ah, dear Stefan, I'd like you to get married."
Oh, good, said Stefan.
"Yeah, I'd like you to marry Princess Ethelberga, daughter of Mad King Ralph."
Oh dear, said Stefan. But he had to agree, because when someone's dying, it's kindest to do as they ask. Oh, yes, Father, of course, if you say so, said Stefan.
"Good lad," said the king.
And with that, he died. So, Stefan became king and wrote to Princess Ethelberga asking her to marry him, and she agreed. Princess Ethelberga, however, had no real wish to get married at all. She was a clever girl and would rather have spent the rest of her life with a good book. But Mad King Ralph insisted she married Stefan. "Yeah, you better do as I say, or I shall eat your pet hedgehog," he said, and carried on with his cuckoo impression. "Cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo." Pretty good, isn't it? Yeah, you got to say it's good because I'm the king. Cuckoo, 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 cuckoo. Blah-de-blah-de-blah. So Ethelberga had no choice in the matter and obediently wrote back to Stefan saying, "Yes, I will be with you as fast as I can finish the encyclopedia I'm reading at the moment. Probably in about, 6 months. Love, F." Finella, meanwhile, had been missing Stefan so badly that she'd made herself ill. And when the news arrived that he was to marry someone else, she nearly died of heartbreak. But instead of being all wet and whingy and dripping around the place, filling the castle with tears, she resolved, well, if I can't marry him, I can at least be near him if I'm clever. And she hit upon a plan, and this was it. She searched throughout the kingdom until she found 11 girls who looked exactly like herself. Then, all 12 of them disguised themselves as huntsmen. And they rode off to the court of King Stefan. Clippity-clop, 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 clippity-clop. Come along, girls. Clippity-clop, clippity-clop, clippity-clop. And when they arrived, here we are. Good. Finella put on a false moustache and asked in a gruff butch voice if the king needed any huntsmen to work for him. Well, King Stefan looked at her and didn't recognize her. But as a king can never have too many huntsmen, he said, "Yes, I will happily take you into my service, and I will call you the king's 12 huntsmen." So the plan succeeded, and Finella could be near Stefan every day. And although she went all blushy and giggly and her moustache fell off every time he came in the room, she was as happy as a trifle in a tummy. But, unfortunately, King Stefan had a pet lion, which was a wonderfully clever animal because he knew all secret things and could see all the things that people wanted to hide. One evening, the lion said to the king,
Listen, Steve, I suppose you think you've got 12 huntsmen working for you, hmm? Well, no, you're very much mistaken. They are 12 girls.
"That can't be true," said the king. "How can you prove they're girls?"
Oh, easy, answered the lion. Just get one of the servants to throw some dried peas all over the floor, and then you'll soon see. Men have a strong, firm tread, and when they walk over dried peas, they don't skid and make the peas roll all over the place. But girls trip and slip, and the peas roll everywhere.
Well, the king thought this was very good advice. So he ordered the peas to be thrown on the floor. But luckily, the servant, who'd been told to throw the peas, was very friendly with the 12 huntsmen. And when he heard that the peas were for a test, He went to his friends and told them everything. And he laughed and he said, that lion's really gone mad this time. He wants to make the king believe that you are girls. Yeah. Whatever next? I don't know, it just tickles me. And off he went, laughing until the stars came out. But the girls, disguised as huntsmen, panicked and said, oh, what are we to do? Every time we've walked over peas, we've always slipped over. Now, don't be so girlish and foolish, said Finella. We're far cleverer than a lion and a king. All we need to do is take some dried peas from the kitchen and practice walking with men's big, clumsy footsteps. So they practiced walking on peas all night until their feet were sore. And the next morning, they stepped so firmly on them and so confidently that none of them slipped and not one of the peas rolled an inch. The king said to the lion, you have lied to me. They walk just like men.
Yes, well, they were warned that they were going to be put to the test, and they pretended to be strong,
said the lion, because he knew everyone's secrets.
Just let 12 beautiful ball gowns of silver lace be brought into the room, and they will run over to them and try them on. And as you well know, Steve, no man will do that.
Well, the king liked this advice too, and he had the silver lace ball gowns spread out along one side of a room. But the servant who'd been asked to spread out the dresses was again the huntsman's friend. So he went to them and told them everything. Imagine this. The lion now thinks that you will see some silver ball gowns and want to try them on. Brave, strong huntsman like you. The very idea. He'll be the death of me, that lion. Oh, dear. Oh, don't start me up. Oh, I've got to go. And he went away, laughing until the bats and the owls came out. But when the friendly servant had gone, Finella said to her 11 girls, now, keep control of yourselves. I know you've had to wear men's boring clothes for a long time now, but you mustn't even look twice at these dresses. Personally, I'd just die to try on a silver ball gown right now, but we must be strong. Well, the king had his 12 huntsmen summoned the next morning, and they went through the room and never looked twice at the ball gowns. In fact, they behaved as though they hadn't even noticed them. The king turned angrily to the lion and said, you have lied to me again. They are men. They are not interested in dresses at all. Get out of my sight. I won't have liars in my court. You're just trying to stir up trouble because you had all the attention before the huntsmen arrived. Yeah, well, you can go out and live in the garden in the pouring rain with the dogs and the sheep and the ordinary dumb animals. No more silk pajamas and cushion by the fire for you. And stop calling me Steve. Don't even speak to me at all.
Very well, said the lion.
And he went out into the cold rain. Well, King Stefan grew even more fond of his 12 huntsmen. Now he had no lion to talk to. And whenever he went hunting, they all went with him. But one day, when they were out hunting, news came that Ethelberga had finally finished reading the encyclopedia and had arrived at King Stefan's palace ready to marry him. But when Finella heard this, her heart almost burst, and she fainted, dead away, and fell off her horse. Stefan rushed over and pulled off her big hot huntsman's gloves to cool her down. And there, on the huntsman's hand, the king saw the ring which he had given to Finella. And when he looked more closely at the huntsman's face, he recognized that this indeed was Finella. Well, his heart was so overjoyed, he kissed her. And as she opened her eyes, he said, you are mine. I am yours. And no one in the world can change that. And where did you get that dreadful moustache? Well, the king sent a messenger to Ethelberga and asked her to return to her own kingdom because he had a wife already. Ethelberga was delighted and hurried home to her books, most of which by now Mad King Ralph had eaten. Immediately, King Stefan and Finella were married. The 11 girls threw on the silver-lace ball gowns with gusto and wore them to the celebrations. The king apologized to the lion and brought him back into his cushion by the fire, because after all, the lion had told the truth.
And, can I call you Steve again?
Said the lion. Of course you can, said the king. Call me what you like. So the lion called him Gordon, because he thought it was a much nicer name.